Alright, got the one package. Should have 3 things in it. Let's see, first up we have The Saints Powers Omnipotent Season 2 Blu-ray. Yes, let's take a look at the back first, because that's a Region A and B. English and Japanese dubs. I guess I vaguely remember what happened at the beginning of the very first episode. Do I remember the rest of it? I don't remember. This first season, I guess, left a slightly stronger impression. I remember that maybe it had a happy end. I don't remember if it was the end, but I feel like it was. Don't know. Tokyo Revengers Season 1 Blu-ray. Alright, now let's take a look at the back here. This is Region A only. A. So Viz, okay, so Viz released that. Tokyo Revengers. Stereo audio English and Japanese. And there's English subtitles. Okay. Interesting. I do feel like it feels thicker than Saints and that, but that obviously doesn't have a slipcover. But it's not coming out. Well, that felt like it went a little bit further. There we go. Different under the slipcover. Then let's see. First of all, we've got our manga anime. So it's like usually manga on one side, and a series, which is usually the DVD on maybe the front, but we've got our normal stuff there. 1 through 6, 7 through 12, 13 through 18, then 19 through 24. Okay, cool. Never saw this show, so I don't know much about it. I'm trying to remember why the name may seem familiar. If I don't know. Anyways, whoa. And then finally, the Vexations of Shut-In Vampire Princess. Coming apart, but also not coming off completely. That should be good enough. Okay, looking at the back, I see Region A, Japanese and English audio. I don't know much about the dub for this, but I do think the English voice actress for the main, the Japanese voice actress for the main character is pretty. God, there's just this plastic there that's driving me a little insane. Look at that. Whatever it is, it came off. Well, the inside is simple, so we just have to look at the discs. And I remember the show itself being more interesting than it looked like it would be. That's the Vexations of a Shut-In Vampire Princess. Complete collection. Anyways, good stuff. Here's this week's physical anime collection update. Alright, looking at the stuff I watched. First of all, with my Friday friend, we decided to go Kaiju number 8. Now, obviously, we're not going to watch past the first season because first season's all that's out. If any of you ever... I don't even know why I'm talking about that way. Anyways, we watched the first 5 episodes, and I really enjoyed rewatching it and going back to it. I do wonder what Heath felt about it. It's interesting how different it felt actually just powering through the episodes and not even just watching one episode at a time as they came out, which they alternated. No, they didn't even really alternate. Like, first episode was really great, and that was without the twist. Episode 2 was a spectacular follow-up to that. Episode 3 was good. So, it fluctuates between good, great, and superb. Which overall just means it's just a good quality show. But first 5 episodes, yeah, just enjoyed all of that. Not sure what my friend's impression was, but right now I guess I'm tired. I need to go through these. I'll Become a Villainess. That will go down in history. Episode 7. This was a bit of a down episode, not a downer episode, just a kind of a it was episode 7. If it's 12 episodes, then it's the beginning of the second half. If it's 13 episodes, it was an episode smack dab in the middle. So it feels like it's the right episode to kind of have a slight lull in what it's doing, and I'm looking forward to what it's set up for, what it's going to do in the second half, because I'm not entirely sure. I know some of the goals. Yeah, and we still kind of hate Liz, but yeah, that's aside. Anyways, fun stuff. ReZero, Starting Life in Another World, Season 3, Episode 57. I liked this episode. Like, if every episode was this one, it wouldn't be as fun of a series, but the fact that this show has these moments where Subaru sat down and talked, and it was just great. It was very nice. I was trying to think if maybe there was other touching episodes here. Like, I don't know that this one is necessarily supposed to be touching, but necessarily, or definitely, it was effective in what it did. Good episode. Do-Over Damsel, Episode 6. Oh, yeah. I'd say a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah, now that I'm remembering bits and pieces of the episode, yeah. Cool stuff. I can imagine it's not the perfect show for everybody watching it, but I'm finding it to be very likable and enjoyable. I'm not sure what it's necessarily going to do next, but I'm liking what it's doing with our main character. I really enjoy her a lot. She's a fun presence for sure. I'm just trying to think. I think I've seen some people... I've mentioned the complaints before about, she should have more, a harder time some of her combat, and some of that happened, but I feel like what it set up and what it did was nice. Oh, I'm blanking. Loner Life in Another World, Episode 8. I guess it's actually okay. Mostly because our main character kind of managed to get separated from the other ones, and he's off doing his own thing, and it's looking like it's hard to tell that this show's given us something to say, oh yes, let's continue looking forward to this inevitable outcome, but it does have, here's moments that you can enjoy in the interim here and there. So it's continuing to be okay, I guess. I did finally catch up on Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I watched episodes 5, 6, and 7, and it was a slog, because fuck the Freya family. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Freya is a piece of shit, but her familia is a piece of shit too. Oh my god. But I did have to say that finally in episode 7, it's like, okay, somehow I'm not as disgusted every single time I see Freya on the screen, and I'm not discussing every time her familiar opens their fucking idiot mouths, but yeah. I'm not sure what I'll think about the season as a whole. I'll just have to see where it goes, because it could be interesting, it could be good. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Goodbye Dragon Life, episode 7. Okay, I guess. I sort of feel like, yeah, the show just kind of throws a lot of stuff around. Maybe not as bad as Demon Lord Retry, but it's sort of like, okay, there are some elements of what's going on in this battle that kind of work, kind of make sense, but some of it's just like, okay, and then while all this conversing is happening, nobody else is fighting, they're just kind of standing around. I can kind of understand why some people would be trepidatious about moving forward, but it just feels like the flow of battle is flowing not because this is the way the engagement would flow or would flow naturally. It's just the show kind of doing what it wants, which is unfortunate because it's got a lot of neat things. Our main character is neat. The Lamia girl is neat. They've introduced interesting side characters. The Night Girl is also neat. I don't know if I have any comments on the elves. They feel a little simplistic, maybe? Plant Girl was interesting. Not the demonic one. The demonic one's design was interesting when she was manifesting, but outside of that, like I said, I do have a problem where I feel like I'm not quite sure what their character design even means. Maybe I'm just spoiled by something like Freerun, which can have wildly different looking demons, and they show us a bunch of different kinds, but they have some that look surprisingly more human than others, but at the same time, there's something to be said about you sort of feel like their designs are in line. But I don't know. It would be good if I was comparing it to Freerun because, okay, it just didn't manage to measure up to that. But I don't know. I guess Freerun is instead being used as a tool for, can the designs be somewhat inconsistent but also still feel consistent? Like, I don't know that they feel inconsistent Freerun too, because so many of the demons we see are just humans with horns, kind of. Even though we get a couple that aren't. But, I don't know. I digress. It shows... It's got some risk of maybe being dropped, I guess. But I might keep watching it. We'll have to see. Dan to Dan, episode 7. I was not expecting the entire episode to kind of be what it ended up being about, but I'd say overall it kind of worked, especially in a episode or in a show where it's like, man, there's a lot of people in here that are assholes. And to be fair, my favorite character is a big asshole, but she's kind of got the biggest dick in the room, kind of, which is what makes her fun. And I'm not talking about the grandma. She swings a pretty wild one too, but no, Turbo Granny. I kind of like Turbo Granny. I still like Turbo Granny. She's my favorite. But otherwise, it was a surprisingly heartfelt episode. Much more so than I think this show seemed like it was going to do. So entertaining. Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online Season 2 Episode 7. I would say... I mean, it's shaping up to be an entertaining, okay, this is what it's planning to do with stuff sort of thing, but it's also, I don't know, I guess it's also, it feels a little convenient that things worked out the way they did without going into more terms. It's an interesting twist on a bad twist, I would say, but I'm not sure how else to really put it. But entertaining enough setup. I guess we'll just have to see where it's going to go from there. Magie Lumiere, Magical Girls Incorporated Episode 7. I am starting to feel a bit exhausted by the show. I thought maybe something might have happened in the later half of Episode 7 that still had me a bit curious. But I don't know. I'm beginning to just lose my momentum on the show. And like I complained how the previous episodes sort of made me feel like I'm not sure if I feel the economics behind this as they're explaining it. I think this one kind of destroyed it from a different angle than I would have expected. Namely, there was this, oh, should you be a perfectly efficient robot versus, it's like,
what the fuck is this? It's either 100% efficiency or, allow a little inefficiency, but be smiled, be friendly, be considerate, be helpful. It's like, I don't know. This show feels like it's set up its own straw man, and it feels like such a straw man. Like, it's supposed to be magical girls are about making people smile, as opposed to we have a job to do. We have to be robots about it. It's like the robots about it thing. The entire point of a couple episodes back was the fucking robots about it company would have just said, we'll just use a large scale aerial thing and that will destroy all the Kai, and the insurance will take care of paying back people for all the stuff. It's just like, yeah, why would everybody want to fucking hire you if you're essentially lazy? It's like, smile, work hard, encourage people, because apparently there's also an element to this that is being slightly celebrity-ish. Not entirely like some magical girl stuff, but it's like, I don't know. The show doesn't feel like it's convinced me that its antagonistic viewpoints, that it seems to be what it's about, really makes sense. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I might not finish episode 8 if I start watching it and I just don't have the energy. Dragon Ball Daima, episode 6. Okay, yeah, you had that interesting and entertaining interaction between those people. Maybe a little insight into just something that happened in the previous episode? So, I guess it was a fun episode. Maybe not as fun as the previous episode, but still, I'd say kind of fun along the same lines. Good stuff. Demon Lord Retry R, episode 8. Like I said, Demon Lord Retry almost feels like it's just throwing stuff at us. And so it's hard to say, okay, this thing that just happened, what does this have to do with the goals, the world building? There's things that just keep coming out of left field that are just sort of like they are. And, again, first season did some of that as well, but I don't know. Second season, it just feels like there's more of a disconnect. And maybe that's just me, but I just kind of wonder what the show's trying to do sometimes. There's entertaining stuff that does happen and come up, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the show's distracted by itself. Oh well. The healer who was banished from his party is, in fact, the strongest. Episode 7. I guess I've probably had a little is about some of the episodes, and I felt like this one was a little more on the positive side, a little more relevant to the things going on at hand, even if I sort of feel like some of the things it's doing and developing aren't as much about the main character as a show with a title pointing out the main character should be. Like, he doesn't have to be the only one that does anything, but sometimes you want to, like, say, he's the strongest healer, but you have something else happens, like, yeah, look at the party heroes and look at how awesome they are, so that you have something to contrast to or something. I don't think this is as bad as that max defense strongest person in the party one. I think this one feels more comprehensive with its story, or comprehensible with its story, but I don't know, stuff. Demon Lord 2099, episode 6. I'd say it's all fun stuff. Again, the thing I like about this show is it's playing with its cyberpunk and its fantasy elements really well. Especially its fantasy elements based on a demon king waking up 500 years later. They don't feel like they're conveniently two separate things at the same time. It feels like they're very intermingled, which has me a little thoughtful, because it's episode 6 and its progress as far as it has makes me wonder what the long-term plan is. Or maybe it's only supposed to be like a 10-episode show. If it is, I could see it maybe... it'd be a bit of stretch. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. It's been good stuff. As a Reincarnated Aristocrat, Season 2, Episode 19. I'd say a really good follow-up from the previous episode. Stuff happening. And it's not like all sunshine and roses for our main characters. So I do appreciate that it is I guess not a hand-holding walk in the park, but yeah, fun stuff. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan, episode 8. Kind of realized that these past 3 episodes have all been kind of like they aren't exactly repeating themselves, but they are repeating themselves down to important plot things happening in each of them. So it's kind of a little repetitive in that way, and I don't know how to express it other than just say there's something there. But in terms of our main character, what he does, his thoughts, his ruthlessness that was apparent in the second episode, and has been kind of the staple feel for this show, I feel like it's still there and feel in a good way. I feel it's in a good way. And I do appreciate what they've been building up for the character, and I'm curious to see where they go with the next thing, because I think we do have our end goal in mind for the show. So it's better than some of the other ones where it's like, I'm not even quite sure what kind of end goal it has in mind, because it seems to not know itself. But I digress. Entertaining, ruthless. Spirit Chronicles Season 2, Episode 7. I guess it's okay stuff. Our main character kind of doing some neat stuff, but not anything that's really awesome. He did some awesome stuff in the previous episode. Not sure if it's really setting him up for awesome stuff in the next episode, but I guess it's okay. And then finally, Ari Fureta, Season 3, Episode 6. And I would say I liked it. I think they did the thing that I would have wanted to do based on the stinger at the end of the previous episode. So I found it good, amusing, entertaining. And I feel like what happened in this episode was important in a way. Maybe not necessarily in development, but in terms of, I don't know, it just felt important. And like, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in the next episode, because they touched I think they set something up for where it's like, okay, now I'm really interested to see, because I think the next episode may say more about our characters as characters, and this episode kind of did that to a good degree, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, fun episode. Anything else to say? I guess 2v8 mode on Dead by Daylight started, and it's been fun. It's chaotic. I have been mostly playing Survivor when I do play, but I honestly haven't been playing a lot. Nothing wrong with Dead by Daylight itself, just mostly exhausted, I guess. I've taken a lot of naps. You might have noticed there was one show, what was it? Let This Miss Something Griever Retire. I decided I'm just not going to try to catch up on it. I just don't have the energy to try. I didn't even have the energy to try Dead by Daylight, really, but I did put some energy in because there's still things to get out of it, including an opportunity to get to the end of a tome that I was having trouble getting past, mostly because I was stuck behind a really hard to get Survivor achievement that may have also been bugged for quite a bit, so I kind of got disheartened on trying to do that one, versus 2 killer ones, and those killer ones require me to play killer in a way that's way more energetic than I really want to try. So 2v8 allowed me to get through one of the killer things, and then I got to do one of the other things. But I do also feel like my interaction with people in the in-game chat has been more eye-rolling. Like the 2 times I played as killer, I had one survivor that was dumb. I understand some of the feelings he had, because I had those before playing as well, where it's like I had this feeling that this blight was hook camping, but he wasn't, and I knew better than to open my mouth and say my dumb thoughts out loud. This person, though, was like, the cage teleported 4 times, and he accused us of hook camping. It's like, dude, we were looking for Hatch. And he's like, with only one person on the hook. It's like, yeah, you fucking retard, because there were 2 people left in the game. One person could have been going for on hook, and if he was, that would have been the perfect time for the 2 killers to find the 2 hatches and close them. and then have the survivors in a pincer, or the survivor wasn't going to hatch and we were at a race to close the hatch before he got there. And it's just like the guy was incredulous, like, no, there's no way. There was one person on hook. It's like idiocy. The other one was more of a disappointment. Just a team of survivors that went into the match intending to bully squad. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, it's they're intending to play strategies that are about completely disrupting the killer's play. And you know, there are asshole killers out there as well. But you know, whatever. It's them doing their thing, and I got what I needed out of it. Problem is, if you're going into a match saying that, it is very disrespectful to say, good game. It's like, you're going in there to make it a lousy time for the other person. If a killer went into a match like that, I wouldn't tell him good game. I would say, no, sorry. You were playing to make it miserable for other people. That doesn't make you a good person. Actually, I probably wouldn't say that part because, like I said, there's some dumb things I think that I should say. That one might not actually be dumb. That one might be accurate. But the truth of the matter is, I don't want to be the person that judges for that stuff or something. Why am I talking about all this? I forget. I'm a bit tired. Today was exhausting. I had to really cram everything into this evening. Fortunately, I had last week to sleep a lot and recover. Next week, I'm not going to get as much sleep because we've got Thanksgiving coming up, and that's American Thanksgiving for anybody who may be more familiar with the Canadian one, you know, like Canadians. The Canadians are probably familiar with the American ones because, you know, we make big advertisement deals. Maybe not necessarily ad as in buy stuff, but as in like you kind of know people are like, oh, here comes the turkey, and we're all excited for our Thanksgiving pies, and you know, here comes the cornbread. You know, all that stuff starts coming up, and I'm pretty sure, you know, Canadians are like, oh, well, we had our Thanksgiving last month back in October. I think it makes it more aware for them. Similar because they've mentioned that so many times, I'm aware. But Thanksgiving, it'll be a little strange. I have to dig up stuff to make sure I can transport all the stuff I cook, but, yeah. Alright. Although, I guess I do have one more update before then, so I'll probably see y'all next week before then. In the interim, yeah, y'all have a nice week.